Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is vlog number 144, my weekly vlog for Monday, December the 9th, 2019. And I hope everybody had a good week, and I guess we're getting closer all the time to Christmas. Bah, humbug. But let's move on. I have finished my last of my Christmas projects, I think. I certainly don't want to be working on them anymore. It feels like I've been working on Christmas since, well, Halloween, and actually I have been. But all my placemats and gifts and home decor are all done, and the last thing I finished up this weekend is this Christmas wreath that's hanging here on the door. Now that's what they call a in the hoop design. You've seen some of my other in the hoop designs, for example the gingerbread house and the snowman. This is made in a similar fashion, and let me just take it down from here. So it's done in pieces, and then it's all sewn together. I'll do it with the embroidery part of my sewing machine, and I think it turned out pretty nice. Now, what am I doing with this? Of course, you have this big hole in the center, right? Which you could do something else and put on top of that if you want to hang it on your door or somewhere in your house. But I'm using it basically as a table decoration. It sits on my kitchen table, and I have a vase on the kitchen table with some fake silk type flowers in that I've dressed up a little bit for Christmas, and it fits really nicely in here. So it sits on the table like that, and so this goes right around it. So yeah, that's kind of fun. And I always love doing in the hoop things because they're a lot of fun to do as well once you get the knack. They can be, for a first-timer machine embroiderer, a little bit confusing, but they're a lot of fun once you get the hang of it. Okay, so moving on. That's the only thing have to show you this week. Now, I did finish the top of my, what I call the misery quilt. It's the mystery quilt, which I've been taking the class with, and it's turned out really nice. It's huge. It's supposed to be a queen size. Well, I guess it is. But it measures about 95 inches square, and I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. I had a little problem with it, but I was able to solve that, and that was at the very last thing I was doing on the quilt, wouldn't you know. So anyways, today I'm off to the last of these quilting classes for this session. New session starts up in around tail end of January, and they haven't had the open house yet for selecting the courses you want to take, although I know there's one for sure I definitely want to take, and it's how to make a Lone Star. And I've wanted to do one of these for quite a while, and I'm also taking it because there are something called Y-seams, and Y-seams seem to be the bane of the existence of quilters. When you say Y-seam to a group of quilters, they all start to shiver and throw up. Basically, it's scary for some reason. Now, I've seen videos on YouTube on how to do them. Yeah, they're a little bit of work, but I don't think once you've got the hang of it, I think they're pretty easy. So that's why I'm taking the class, because the instructor is going to teach us how to do Y-seams. So just another challenge to myself. This past session, I challenged myself to learn how to do curves. So next session, it's Y-seams. But anyways, I digress. So today, the last sewing class for the mystery quilt, since mine's done, and it's an all-day class. It's basically a class where everybody can get caught up. So we're ordering lunch in, and we start at 10 and work our way right through to 4. So it's kind of like almost like a mini sewing retreat. So I finished the quilt that I should have been working on in this class yesterday. So I'm going to move on to a new project. And Walter and I went off to a quilting store north of us on the weekend, and I picked up a pattern for the next quilt, and I should have brought it to show you, but I'll show it to you next week. And I was selecting my colors yesterday, so I think today a lot of what I'll be doing with my quilting time is cutting up the pieces, because there's a lot of them, for this new quilt I'm going to be working on. So anyways, that's what I've been up to, and I'm going to go to a YouTube channel that I've been to before, It's actually been a fairly controversial channel in some areas of the internet world. And this is Christopher Allen. And he's doing his Vlogmas series right now. I guess he does this every year. Well, at least he did it last year. That's when I found him. And yeah, well, I'll just show you what I have to show you here about the YouTube channel and what I'm going to say. This week's YouTube channel is one that I have reviewed before in the past, and it's by Christopher Allen. And Christopher Allen, if you remember from my review some time ago, does a lot of things about lifestyle, decorating, crafting, books, things like that. He has a little bit of over-the-top kind of lifestyle, at least that's the way he portrays it with his Louis Vuitton agendas and other products that he buys, and I don't really know how he affords them. But every year at Christmas time, he does a series of vlogs called Vlogmas, where he does one vlog every day up until just before Christmas Day. And what I find interesting about these Vlogmases that he does is the decor and the gift ideas. Now again, a lot of these things are not for the average person, but it gives you ideas. I find it inspiring. And his home decor is, say what you will about him, is very, very beautiful, and he's spent a lot of time putting together really designer style Christmas decorations. So if you want to get into the Christmas spirit, and if you want to feel bad about what you won't have at this Christmas, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that, then you need to check out Christopher Allen and his Vlogmas series. So if you're interested in checking out his YouTube channel, and it is interesting, okay, but just remember what I said about it. I have the link in the show notes below, along with my blog, along with Stephen and Walter Live. And if you missed us this week, we did an art attack. Now, we don't do those very often. I think we should do them a little bit more often. People seem to like those. And that's basically where Walter and I do a small craft together. And it's not really a competition, but Walter's a sort of a non-crafter. So I'm kind of teaching him how to do these things, and we talk while we do it, and it's just something a little different. So this week we did an art attack, and we created the star ornament, and I show you how to do that. Now I have a video here on my playlist in my mixed media section that shows you how to do it. But anyways, you can see what we came up with when we were working on it. So the link to Stephen and Walter Live is below. And I also have this week's book is there too, which we'll come to in a minute. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had to blow my nose. Didn't think you needed to see that. Okay, so what's pissing me off this week? All right, first of all, let me qualify what I'm going to say, because what I'm going to say is going to make me seem very much like a Grinch, okay? And I want to talk about charities at Christmas time, and I want to talk about one particular charity. I don't know how much you know about this group. Some of you may be staunch supporters of this particular group. They've been around for years and years and years and years, and they have done a lot of good work. I want to say that. They have done a lot of good work. And I'm talking about the Salvation Army. This is the time of the year when you see them out there with their kettles or whatever, or balls or whatever, and people dropping in donations. I do not give to the Salvation Army. Now, let me say this. I know that Salvation Army works with the homeless. They provide meals. They provide a safe and warm shelters in many cities across our country and across North America. Indeed, maybe across the world. I don't know how far they reach out to. And they've been a staple in our society for a long, long time. However, they do discriminate. And I don't give my money to groups that discriminate, okay? And they discriminate against my people, about my group, the LGBTQ community, okay? Now, they are a religious-based group, a Christian-based group, and so they follow the scriptures. They follow their interpretation of the scriptures, as do so many fundamentalist Christian groups do. And of course, according to them, according to their extensive reading of the Bible and their unique relationship with God, that we, the members of the LGBT community, are abominations. Okay? and that we are sinners, and their job with all sinners is to bring them to Christ. Bully for you. Okay? So they do reject helping members of the LGBT community. So, for example, there have been more than one incident reported about the Salvation Army and how they have turned away or made life more difficult for LGBT community members who have sought their help. They have refused shelter for those people. I don't think they do it right out and say, oh, you're gay, you're lesbian, you're whatever, you can't come in. But what they do is that suddenly they are full and they can't take any more people in. They have of late, and it's been in various news sites, that they have turned away or made very difficult, made a very difficult situation for transgender people. For example, they're supposed to be offering, or they claim they offer, safe shelter for people who are down and out. Well, with transgender people, they force them to share a sleeping accommodation with somebody who is not of the same sex that they identify with. It's been reported that they have made it very difficult for these people to use the bathroom that is designated for the sex that they identify with. They don't get it. They see transgendered people, just as they see gays and lesbians, as going against the nature of God or whatever. Okay? That's not right. It's not right because they are a charitable organization. They don't have any problem taking the gay dollar, but they have a real problem with supporting or giving support to the gay community or the LGBT community. And I have an issue with that. That is discrimination. Do they turn away services to people of color? Do they turn away services from somebody of another religion? Maybe they do. I don't know, but you never hear about that. I know that there is a price to be paid for people who use their facilities. If they come in for a meal, if they come in for shelter, they do have to listen to a sermon. They do have to listen to these people talk about their religion, about their philosophy based upon the scriptures, and they're basically forcing it down people's throats. It's kind of like the old expression, you've got to sing for your supper. Well, you got to listen to their message. And I don't think that's right. In other words, if you're supposed to be a giving organization, should you not be giving without qualifications? In other words, what's your hidden agenda here? To convert people to your faith, to your set of beliefs. Many gay people that might need their support, their services, come from a background, or from a religious background that has rejected them already. And this is just another organization rejecting them. And it's tough to be a member of the LGBT community, especially if you're somebody who's a marginalized type of citizen. You know, you're somebody without a decent job, you're somebody without a decent home, you don't know where your next meal is going to come from. Homelessness hits everybody. I guess that's one thing in our society, just as an aside here, that doesn't discriminate. Homelessness can happen to anybody at any time for a variety of reasons. So if their mission, the Salvation Army, is to support and help these people who are down and out on their luck, so to speak, then shouldn't they be helping all people? They shouldn't be discriminating. They shouldn't be making qualifications for this kind of thing, especially when they're relying upon charitable donations. It's one thing if they were out selling a product, if they were a corporation or something like that. Well, corporations shouldn't discriminate either. However, the corporations are not necessarily, they're using their money. Well, I guess it's their money, however they get it. I suppose it all comes from us anyways, but you know what I mean. But when you're standing outside of the liquor store looking for a donation, I don't know. So that's one thing about the Salvation Army. Now, I did some research, I looked some things up, and in the last few years they have been trying to clean up their reputation for this, because there's been a lot of outcries about it, especially in the LGBT community. And never underestimate the power of the LGBT community, because the gay dollar speaks. It really does. Businesses have figured this out a long time ago. I mean, there was a time when the Gay Pride Parade in Toronto did not have any of the large beer companies sponsoring it. Now, they're probably the biggest sponsors of the LGBT Pride Parade. Why is that? Because they figured out that there's a lot of income, disposable income, in that community. I mean, after all, and this, I'm sort of digressing here, but I'll come back to my point. I mean, after all, in the LGBT community, for the most part, although that's changing, we don't have children, so we're not putting kids through school. We usually are fairly well educated. Not everybody in the group, you know, but we usually have fairly good jobs, decent jobs too. So there's a lot of disposable income. Now, of course, there will be people in the community who will say, well, that's not true. There's still discrimination in job, pay parity and all that thing between the sexes and all that kind of stuff. Yes, that exists. That's true. But for the most part, there's a whole source of money there that most of the corporations have figured out and are tapping into. So the Salvation Army, I figure, is probably doing the same thing, because now they're trying to downplay their past actions that were discriminatory towards gays and lesbians and transgendered as well. And now they're trying to say, oh, well, they've learned from their ways and they're sorry about that, and you will find that the Salvation Army now doesn't do that. Yes, it does. Because no matter how you feel about the Salvation Army, this is a dangerous part of my topic, they are still a type of cult. They're a religious group. They are not mainstream. Think about it. They call themselves the Salvation Army. Army. What does an army suggest to you? Violence, war, negativity, evil. That's a really great name for a Christian organization, isn't it? Yes, I know there's a historical precedent here why they're called the Salvation Army. I don't want to get into all of that, okay? But the fact is, they are like a cult. I mean, maybe not a drink the Kool-Aid type of cult, but still a cult. And a cult, what do cults do? Cults try to persuade other people to join them and to think like they do. So that's a problem for the LGBT community, okay? When you're going around and considering us subhuman, God created man and women in his own image. God doesn't make mistakes. I always use that argument with people when they come down on gays and lesbians. God made us. We're all God's children. God doesn't make mistakes. Okay? So we are not abominations. We are not a mistake. So stick that in your drum, Salvation Army, and smoke it, or whatever you do. The other thing about the Salvation Army that really bothers me this time of the year is those people that are standing there taking the donations are paid. They used to be volunteers. You'll notice that many of them are not wearing the Salvation Army uniform or outfit. Okay? They are paid. Well, fine. I don't have anything against anybody, getting paid for collecting donations like they are at this time of the year, because they can use the extra money, I'm sure. And jobs right now are, well, they're not that hard to find in our country, but, there's still lots of unemployment. So, okay, great. It's a job. But where's that money coming from? It's coming out of what they collect. So how much of their money, and this I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud here, I haven't researched this, but I have researched some other charitable donation places, and a good portion of the money they bring in goes back into administration. So part of the administration for Salvation Army is for paying these people to do their job. And it makes me wonder why they have to hire people for this. Are there not enough people in their own ranks to give of themselves for this kind of thing? I mean, are they not a charity? Aren't all of the members of this group giving and self-sacrificing and want to help out in any way they can, which would involve manning the drum? I don't know. So, on a couple of different levels, I don't give to the Salvation Army. I don't support the Salvation Army, and every chance I get, I mention to people what I know about the Salvation Army and its discriminatory policies towards LGBT community members. Will I never support them again? Not necessarily so, but when they finally prove to me and to the rest of the LGBT community that they see everyone as equal in their eyes, then I might consider giving them a donation. So Merry Christmas, Salvation Army. Moving on. Okay, so product review, haven't bought anything new. Christmas is coming. Maybe Santa will leave me something great. Yay. I don't know. Book reviews, though. Okay, in my stash, I found this. I forgot I actually had this, and I must revisit it because I've got the equipment for this. It's called Create with Transfer Artist Paper. Now, this is basically a special kind of paper that you can print on, you can draw on, and then you can transfer it to paper or to fabric. And this is why I'm interested in it, is the fabric transfer kind of a thing. And it shows you all the techniques and things you can do with it. And this is very popular in the quilting world, but this book was not designed for people who quilt. This was designed for people who want to take images, maybe photographs or things they've drawn in that, and put them onto another media form. And so this book explains it all to you. Like you might want to make a canvas with an old picture or something like that that means something to you, or original designs, that kind of thing. I haven't tried this yet to see how well this works. Like I said, I actually have a package of this special paper. It's not a cheap paper. I forget what I paid for it. I want to say that it was probably, in the 20s, $20, $21, $22 for a package of maybe 10 or maybe less sheets. I don't know. So it's not cheap, but if you're trying to do something really unique, something very personal, that you're giving to somebody or whatever, then you might want to try this technique. And there are lots of YouTube videos that show you how to do this technique. And there are other methods for transferring things. But this is one that's probably more reliable than some of those other techniques and probably less of a mess. So this book, when I bought it, was $19.95 US. And I'm not sure how long ago I bought it. It hasn't been that long. I'm pretty sure I bought this probably within the last couple of years. So I looked it up, and yes, you can get it on Amazon.ca. So in Canadian dollars, if you order it from Amazon, it's $25.69. But if you have Prime, there's free shipping. So it is a pricey book. But if you're really looking for professional quality results, then I recommend getting a book like this. And I've put the link to this in the show notes below. Okay, so that takes us to a new iCraft project. We finished up the last one, and this week we're starting this one, the iCraft Shadow Frames. Pretty simple little project, but in this part of the video today, I'm showing you how to assemble it and what comes in the kit. So today I thought I would attempt to put together the iCraft Shadow Frames. Now, this looks fairly straightforward. It has instructions, or at least a diagram on the back, and it shows you that it's two pieces. And basically, I'm not sure if you make two different sizes or one goes inside the other one. I guess we'll find out. A lot of detail here on the diagram on the back with the measurements, but I have found these diagrams on the back are not very reliable. Now, I've already opened this up, and inside I got three frames, one in craft, one in black, and one in white. And I think for the sake of today's video, we'll put together the one in the craft, so we'll set the other two aside. That's one thing I do like about these iCraft kits. You get a lot for the money. I mean, I paid $10.99 Canadian for this kit, and I'm getting 3 frames. And by the looks of things, you're actually getting 6 frames. It looks like, according to the diagram on here, you're getting a large one and a smaller one. And it almost looks like maybe you're supposed to put the two together, sort of layer them. I don't know. Maybe that's a possibility. It says the ready-to-use frame template. This set contains one set of 2 pieces, each of black, white, and craft cardstock. One thing it didn't come with, though, was an instruction sheet. And as I've said in some of my other iCraft videos, some of the kits do come with an instruction sheet, some do not. Now, I haven't gone to their YouTube channel to see if they have a tutorial for this. And I don't think I'm going to have to. I think this one's fairly straightforward, but we'll soon find out. So let's put this one together. We're just going to set this aside for now. We may have to refer to it later. And here we have the 2 sizes. So I'm assuming this is the large one, this is the smaller one. So let's put the larger one together. Now you can see, I hope, on here on the video, there are score lines all over this. So I'm just assuming we need to, first of all, fold on the score line. So let's go to this side, and I've got my bone folder out here, and let's just see what happens when I fold these. And of course the bone folder is an excellent tool to have with one of these kits, because you do want your folds or your creases to be very crisp. And I do like the fact that these kits do come pre-scored. That helps a great deal, especially when they don't supply you with any instructions. Okay, so there's one side. Now, I'm still not completely sure how this should go together. But I do have out my double-sided tape for this as well. Now this is kind of a strange looking cut here, and I would assume that these probably fold in some manner to lock the corners. I guess we'll soon find out once I have everything folded along the score lines. Okay, one last one to do. Okay, so here's what I've got. Let's refer to the picture on the back, this one showing the frames down here. So it looks like they have mitered corners, so let's see. Okay, when you fold the end pieces up like this, you've got a little hollow here, so I'm thinking that maybe these just tuck in . Okay, well that's simple enough. The only thing I'm concerned about though is how these will stay together. Bottom one seems to be pretty good. The top one doesn't. I'm wondering if I have this creased enough. Let's just do these again. Make sure they've got a really good crease to them. It's a little awkward. Okay, for the most part, I don't like this gap, but kind of wondering if I need to put my tape along the bottom edge of those. Okay, let's just open these up. And let's see, if that one goes under, go over like that. So if I put some tape along this edge, let's just see here. I'll take out my 1/4 inch double-sided tape. And just apply it along here. And get out my pokey tool, because this is what I use to peel the backing off, because I don't have any nails. And let's just see, let's just carefully fold this under. And what I'm doing is I'm lining it up with this fold on the back here. You probably can't see that very well, it's very awkward. Okay, I'm going to do that same thing to this other piece, the other end. Oops. Okay, so fold that under. Just use the bone folder to get in there. Press that down. Okay, now let's see what happens. Okay, the other side. So I'm kind of bringing them up a little bit on an angle. Okay, that does work a little better. I'm still not that happy with the edges, but you know something? I think I could probably put washi tape around those edges, and that would hold those in a little better. It's not too bad. Okay, so that's the large one. So I'm assuming the small one goes together the same way. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll be right back to show you. Okay, so I put the smaller one together in the same manner as I put the large one together. You can see here the corners on this have a bit of a gap, but I am thinking that once I have it decorated, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the edges and things like that, but I think, you know, I get an embellishment or something on here, it's going to hold those in a little better. And like I said, maybe some washi tape on some of these corners, because I don't like that gap that's showing up there. But there we have two frames. Now, what size are these frames if you were to put a picture in them? So it looks like, yeah, these aren't going to fit a standard picture. You're going to have to basically cut down your picture, because this is about 3.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall, and this one is 2.5 inches by about 4.5 inches. So you'd have to cut down your picture if you're going to put in a picture. But these could make interesting shadow boxes. And you know, I'm thinking here you could make a whole array. You know how you see those ones that are stuck together like that? But if you put these other ones together, you could probably make a very interesting display, and I might do that with this. We'll see. But for now, they went together fairly easily. As I said, I'm not really happy with the gap that's on here. Seems to be the top ones that have more of a gap than the bottom, but no, the bottom has it too. Can you put it inside that? Well, why would you do that? Off to the side like that. There's potential here. Potential here. So we'll see. So in the next segment, I will start the decorating process, getting my background papers and things like that on this. So next week, I'm going to start the prepping it for final embellishing, and I'm trying something a little different. I've already started on this because it's a little longer process. Instead of using paper to cover it. I'm actually using some mediums for that. And so that'll be in next week's video. Okay, so events in the past week, update on my mother. She's fine, except she had a fall. I bought her a new pair of slippers, okay? As you know, I've mentioned it before, the new shoes we got her were rubbing on her feet and causing her some grief. She has hammer toe. And so we got her a larger size of shoes. That seemed to help a little bit. But of course, they were recommending a pair of slippers for her because it would, you know, they're a little wider, a little bit more comfortable. So I mentioned it to my mother, and I think I mentioned this last week. She said, I don't want a pair of slippers, then I'll look like an old lady. Too late, already are. So after we had the CARE conference that you have once a year with the staff, which gives you updates on the progress of my mother, I mentioned this to them about the shoes and her hammer toes, and they said again, slippers. So there's a company that creates clothing. They call it adaptive clothing. It's for seniors and people with certain medical issues and whatnot. And I looked up their slippers, and they had a pair of slippers that weren't bad looking, and they were meant for people that have diabetic problems, and I guess sometimes that can affect your feet and things like that. And they're called extra wide, and they had them in my mother's size. And as I said, they didn't look bad at all. And they're also easy putting on because it's all Velcro. And you just have these big flaps that open up. You step into them and close them up, and away you go. So I got her a pair of these. They're not cheap, but I got her a pair of these. They were actually having a Black Friday sale, so they're regularly over $50 a pair. I think they were on for $39.99 or something like that. Got her a pair. She seemed to like them. I showed her how to put them on, and I think she's been wearing them. And herein lies the problem. So she probably didn't have it on quite right. It fell off her foot. One of the slippers fell off her foot. And she's in her wheelchair, of course. And so she decides she's going to pick it up. Okay, no. She thinks she can just bend over and pick it up. Well, then the wheelchair goes flying, and my mother went flying, apparently. I got a phone call from Strathaven saying that she had fallen out of her chair trying to retrieve her slipper. Now, she did hit her head, they said. I'm not sure where she hit her head, but it wasn't, I don't think she got a bump or anything like that. They checked her all over. She was fine. And they did check her for, you know, like her hips and things like that. They said that my mother claimed that she wasn't in any kind of pain. But when they touched her in near her hips, they said she grimaced a little bit. Well, of course, you know, she has osteoporosis. She's in a wheelchair. She's 79 years old, which is not really old, but we've been down that road and discussed why I say that earlier. But she, if she broke a hip, and very easy for her to do, then she's laid up in the hospital, and that's not good. And I have warned her and told her and explained to her why she is not to try and do some of these things for herself because of exactly what just happened. But anyways, they checked her over and she was fine and everything like that. So I gave her a call and I said, heard you had a fall. Oh yeah, I did. And I said, your slipper fell off is the story I got and you were trying to pick it up. Well, yeah. Well, it was only 2 inches away from me. And I says, no, Mom. It may have been 2 inches away from the wheels of your wheelchair, but you're sitting in that wheelchair. You can't reach it. Now, I had bought her a grabber, okay? She asked for one. I got her one a month or so ago, and I mounted it on the side of the wardrobe that holds her clothes on a hook, so it would be easy to get at for her in the whole bit. And I said to her, Mom, why didn't you use your grabber? Oh, I hadn't thought about that. But it was just 2 inches away. I said, Mom, we've had this discussion before. I said, you can't be trying to pick up things off the floor because you'll fall out of your wheelchair. And I said, and guess what? You fell out of your wheelchair. And I said, this could have been a major catastrophe. Luckily, you didn't break anything and you didn't really hurt yourself. But don't do it again. I said to her, call the staff. You've got your pull thing in your room. Pull it. They'll come in. They'll get your slipper. They'll put it on you. That's what they do. They don't want you falling either. I said to her, and by the way, when you were laying on the floor, how did you get help? Now, she does have a roommate, Peggy, who I haven't decided yet how with it Peggy really is. She seems to be with it pretty good. Well, she said, well, I had Peggy call them, and they came right immediately. Yeah, they don't want falls. And they came right in and got her up in the chair, checked her over, got her slipper on, everything was fine. Now, I know that she doesn't want to be independent because my mother won't lift a finger for anything. I've told you about that before. So suddenly she gets this urge to pick up a slipper. Go figure. Thing is right now that I'm a little concerned about is, and this always happens all the time, when there's a major event like Christmas coming up, or if we're going away for a while or whatever, suddenly things happen to my mother. Now, I don't know if it's a coincidence. I don't know if she plans these things. I know that this Christmas is hard for her because it was her favorite time of the year. My mother would start decorating the house in November, okay? And every nook and cranny of the house was decorated. And she loved it. And in the heyday, her and my father would have a Christmas Eve party for a ton of people. It was great. It was fun, you know? That may be one reason why I don't like Christmas anymore, because Christmas is no longer what it was when I was younger, okay? But nothing stays the same. But, so of course, she's in an institution. Now, they do all kinds of things there. They try to make it a holly jolly Christmas for them. They're just not left lonely. We go over. In fact, in another week's time, they're having their annual Christmas party, and we'll be there. My sister and my sister's husband and Walter and I, we will be there for that. We were there last year. So my mother's not neglected at Christmas. The only thing is we can't take her out of the home to come to one of our places because we can't, because she needs to be toileted. She's in the wheelchair. Our houses are not accessible. It's just, you can't do it, okay? And knowing my mother, she'd be there for 5 minutes, even if it was possible to get her there, and she'd be wanting, you know, to go back to the home. So, yeah, so that's not an option for us. But I know in her mind, she's probably starting to feel a little sorry for herself. So we do our best to keep her spirits up at this time of the year. But really, I just envisioned when I heard that she had fallen, when they called, I went, oh, she's in the hospital. Oh, Merry Christmas. Not nice. Luckily, that was not the case. So anyways, I had a talk with her. I explained to her all the things I'm concerned about and all that kind of stuff. Will that stop her from trying that stunt again? No. No. Welcome to my world with my mother. Okay, moving on. Christmas decorations are all up, and I did a short little video showing my decorating skills. Now, this is not Christopher Allen quality, okay? My stuff is not designer. I'm a minimalist anymore with Christmas decorations, so I don't do extensive decorating, but I thought I'd show you a few things anyways. So I thought I'd take you for a short tour of how I decorated my rec room. Now, I don't put up a lot of Christmas decorations. I used to, but I don't do so much anymore. So I'm just going to show you. It's pretty much a minimalist Christmas here. This little tree used to be my mother's, a ceramic one. It was one of her favorite Christmas decorations. And I would take it over to the home she's in now, except I'm afraid that it might drop off and get broken. So for now, it's in safekeeping on this little table that I have here. And you can see that it lights up. I have all my lights on timers, but the timers are cheap. They don't seem to be working very well. That's what you get for buying them at a dollar store. And so you can see this little thing. Now my sister has one like this. That was my grandmother's. And she puts it out every year. They're kind of cute. I actually at one time thought about just using that as my main Christmas tree, but I didn't. Maybe it's a little too small. And I have a couple of little trees that I've bought over the years I just put on either side of it. So let's go around, and here on this door, sorry about the shadow, but the lighting down here isn't the best. So that's the door that leads into my sewing room, and I've got a little wreath on it. Now, it is a cheap wreath, okay, but I can't see spending the money on really elaborate Christmas decorations that come out once a year. I'm just cheap, simple as that. Over here, I have, and you've seen these in other videos, here's what my Santa sleigh and my snowman and my gingerbread house look like, and I have them lit up inside with those little LED lights that I bought on Amazon that have a remote control. I wish they had a timer, actually. I'm all about timers, but they look kind of nice and they give off this glow. So those took a long time to make. They're an in-the-hoop design on an embroidery machine, but the end result was well worth it, I think. So let's get over to the Christmas tree. Now, we used to have a really big Christmas tree. It was all pre-lit, and I used to do designer decorations on it. But we don't have the room for it anymore since we've added more furniture down here in the rec room. And to be honest, I just don't want to decorate a big tree. So I have this small tree I bought a couple of years ago at Walmart. And it was a pre-lit one. And it already came with this flocking on it, which is a pain in the butt when you take it out of the box because you have the white stuff all over the floor. So you definitely have to vacuum afterwards. And I just added some really cheap plastic balls onto it. But you want to know something? For what they cost me, I think they look pretty good. I didn't go overboard with the decorating of this tree. There's none of those little icicles on it, you know, the ones that are made out of the very thin tinfoil-y-like material. And my mother always said you had to put those on one by one on a tree. You should not clump them. She was very particular about that. And I just don't bother with them. And I don't think the tree needs it. Now, in here you will also see some of the embroidered, free lace embroidery designs that I've made. Again, sorry about the shadows, but there's that blue angel, there's a reindeer. Actually, this reindeer was a reject from the Santa sleigh you saw a few minutes ago because I made, there's a left side and a right side. I think I made two lefts or two rights or something, but it makes a nice little Christmas decoration. So I have my little angels all underneath, and then you see the little gifts under the tree. They're fake. I bought those little tin boxes already with the bows on them and these cardboard boxes at the dollar store. And I just stuck them under the tree just to make it look, you know, like there's something under there. We don't give each other a lot of gifts, although there are a few gifts here for Walter. And I can tell you, the packaging is more exciting than what's in them. Fabric stars, well, you know that I made those paper stars. Well, these ones are made from fabric, made very much the same way, and I explained that in both an Idiot Quilter episode I just put up and in one of my vlogs. And actually, Walter and I, on a Stephen and Walter Live very soon, are going to do one of these together, but I think in paper. But they're kind of cute. Now, you can make them so that they hang from your tree if you wish. I thought they just looked nice laying at the bottom of the tree. They'd make great toppers for Christmas gifts as well. Got my little Santa under here. I don't know where he came from. Actually, I think he's a decoration for a wine bottle. I think his little arms and his legs have Velcro on them and you wrap him around a bottle. Probably bought him at the dollar store too. Oh, and the skirt underneath the tree is basically a small Christmas banner that I made when I first got into quilting. And yeah, it turned out pretty nice, considering it was one of my first earlier projects, so I wouldn't want to look at it too close because I have a feeling some of the points don't line up. But I use that as a Christmas skirt on this bistro table that we have down here. This is a wreath I made many years ago. I think it was Robson Designs, which is now called Ken Woven, and I think I have reviewed the YouTube channel for that. And this is all made out of pages from an old textbook that I tea dyed. Actually, I didn't tea dye them. I distress sprayed ink. I think it's probably walnut distress ink. And then it goes together pretty fast. You just make cones out of the paper and you basically staple them to a piece of foam core board and add whatever you want in the middle. And I put that out every year because actually I really like it. It's getting a little worn as time goes by, but then I think that gives it a nice vintage look. Now, on this little console table here, By the way, Walter made these lights. They're stained glass. I'll do a video of all his stained glass stuff again another time and have him talk about the process. But that's for a future video. And just some little knickknacks I've had over the years. These little poinsettias are just, you know, dollar store find again. And I just put them in this little dish, which again, Walter made that dish. It's fused glass. I'll have to have him talk about it. This little table topper underneath here, I made that too a year ago. It's an in the hoop design. It turned out kind of nice. And those other little things, little doily like things, those just came from the dollar store. This little angel I made as well. And I topped it with a couple of stars that I got at the dollar store. I buy a lot of things at dollar store. They're great for Christmas decorations. But that's what you call freestanding lace. And if we pan over here to the fireplace, so we have a gas fireplace in our rec room. And I just put, and again, a plastic garland, okay? I know a lot of people out there are going, oh, how tacky, plastic. Yeah, okay, welcome to my tacky Christmas. This wreath, now this wreath I did spend a fair amount of money on when I bought it, and I'm not even sure where I bought it. It may have come from Michael's. At the time, I probably used a coupon if it did, because you know everything's overpriced at Michael's. And these socks were actually rejects. Last year I was trying to make Christmas socks, and these two were rejects because they're too small. I freehanded the design for them, the pattern, and especially this one you can see got a little narrow down here. Can't get much in them. But I thought they'd be okay as a little decoration on the side of the fireplace. This little guy right here, I have had him for many, many years. I think I bought him probably in my first or second year on my own when I first started teaching in my own apartment before I even met Walter. And what I like about him, he comes out every year, you squeeze his paw, and he plays a little song. Actually, I think he plays 3 different little songs. He just plays the first, few seconds. Here's the second song. Frosty the Snowman. Everybody sing. And I think there's one more. And maybe there's not. I guess there's just the 2. I thought there was 3 at one time, but maybe he's lost that ability. Over here on this end table, I just have another one of those freestanding lace little angel-like things. And I did make coasters. I was experimenting. And so this is one. It's just a, in the hoop kind of design. The little placemat that's underneath this was given to us years ago by Walter's sister. She had made these. They're quilted. I think, though, it came pre-done, like you just cut them out. It was like a panel and then did that. His sister wasn't really into quilting. She could sew very well, but she wasn't really into quilting. But it's kind of nice. I bring them out every year. And here's another one on the coffee table. Now these candles that are here are fake candles. They're the, the battery operated flameless candles. And I just put these candle rings around them. I think, again, a dollar store find. And the same with the little red doilies that are under those. And those are just cut off white poinsettias, probably from the dollar store. Every year I change things a little bit. I never, well, quite frankly, I don't remember where I put everything up. So, last year I think there was something totally different on this table. And there's a couple more of those coasters I was talking about. And we have another wreath right there. Now the only other thing that I did down here was I have this little banner. This banner was one I made. I think it was one of the first projects I made when I got my Cricut Maker, because I was playing with the vinyl, the iron-on vinyl, and cutting out those shapes as well. And I had the Cricut cut those out. It's pretty primitive, and I think I used my serger on this one. I did. That was my old serger. So I was just playing around, but it came out not too bad, and it fits in this place well. And this wreath, let me shut the bathroom door so you can get a better look at this wreath. I made this years and years ago, and it's made from wine corks. I'll just get just closer to it. See all the wine corks? And to tell you, I'm not sure how to make this. I think I bought a base and I glue gunned the corks to it. Had to drink a lot of wine for that, but in those days we did, still do. And then I just added some little embellishments that I found. Again, probably picked a lot of these up at the dollar store, and a ribbon. But you know what? I've always liked that little wreath. And it's been on various doors throughout this house over the years. The newest addition to my Christmas decorations is this panel, which I showed you on the vlog earlier. And really, all it is a panel, and I just layered it, did a quick walking foot quilting on it, and now it's a wall hanging. And it looks like it's been pieced, but it hasn't. It's just a panel. So those are my Christmas decorations. I have a few upstairs, but I've shown you those before. They're just some pillow slips that I made for my couch cushions up there, and I've got a couple of real poinsettias that we got a good deal on at one of the grocery stores, like $3 for a little one, $6 for a larger one, and they're quite healthy and they fit in very well. So anyways, that's how I decorated for Christmas. So now you've seen the extent of my Christmas decorating. Nothing to get too excited about, but at least no one can say I haven't tried to be a little bit festive. Christmas, bah, humbug. Okay, so I'm going to show you another short little video. I mentioned earlier in the vlog that Walter and I had gone to a quilting store just north of us, and basically just north of us is what we call the snow belt. So we can have green grass down here where we live, and just, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers north of us, they'll have huge snowbanks. But it was kind of a pretty little drive. So I just took a really short video just to let you have a little bit of flavor of what the weather's like in southern Ontario in December. Okay, so we are off to a quilting store that's located in a town called Uxbridge, which is north of where we live. Not that far away, actually. But I thought I would take a little video and show you. Here, it is December. And if Quilter keeps turning on the windshield wipers, this is what it looks like in December in Ontario.
Well, actually, it's more snow than we normally have.
Yeah, it's more snow than we normally have this time of the year, but it's kind of pretty. The only thing is you have to shovel it, you have to drive in it. I mean, the roads are dry today and clear because nothing is falling, but this is what it looks like. They have a little bit more snow up here than where we live, but they often do because this is basically the snow belt area. So we could have grass and they'll have snow up here. Right now we've got snow as well. So anyway, it's kind of pretty. You might like to see it, especially for those of you that like in the land down under where you don't see snow at all. This is what it looks like. Oh, and the temperature today right now is -5 Celsius. So it's balmy. Okay, so we have arrived at the quilter's cupboard, which you could miss because it looks like a house. And it is a house, but it is not a house. It's a store inside. Just a store inside a house, so to speak. Okay, so that's what we live in. So what's coming up? Well, I've already mentioned that today I'm off to an all-day sewing class, and that'll be kind of fun. And tonight we're having our guild meeting, our regular guild meeting, but this is our Christmas potluck, and this is going to be interesting. Okay, we used to have a social convener, and this was somebody who would do the organization of potlucks, and at every one of our meetings would arrange for snacks and for coffee and tea. Well, we don't have a social convener this year, and nobody has taken it on, so our meetings are snackless, and we don't have any coffee. Actually, quite frankly, that doesn't bother me. It means that the meeting can be done a little bit earlier because we don't stop for a break, kind of a thing. But then I suppose the break is somewhat social as well, and so, I guess it's too bad we don't have that, but no one stepped up to the plate to take on the job. So we were debating as the executive as to how we would run the potluck this year. Now, in past years, what they've done is one half of the alphabet brings something savory, the other half of the alphabet brings something sweet. Well, people didn't stick to that. And I have to say, it is kind of sad because a box of chocolates does not count in a potluck. And there were several people who brought in a box of chocolates. Then there's the people who brought in frozen things that needed to be cooked. We don't have cooking facilities in the hall that we meet in. How's that going to happen? Just crunch on it? Suck on it till it melts? I don't know. Like, duh, okay. And then, of course, we had an overabundance of sweet things as opposed to savory, or people brought enough food for one person. It's a potluck. You're supposed to bring, for a few more than that. So needless to say, it was piggies at the trough last year. But if you were near the end of the line, like I was being polite. Okay? No more Mr. Politeness. I'm the only guy in this group. I'm changing the rules. Men first. Okay? Instead of ladies first. Because I got 99 ladies ahead of me in the crowd. Actually, we have over that number in the membership, but they don't show up for everything. But nevertheless, you snooze, you lose on the food. So this year we decided, instead of doing it by the alphabet, savory or sweet, we do appies, appetizers, finger food. This is going to be funny because start thinking about finger food and what you can bring that isn't Doritos and dip. Okay? What other finger foods are there? Well, I suppose you could do cheese. You could do pickles, okay? But a lot of finger foods or appies need to be heated. Again, no facility for heating things up or cooking them. So this is going to be a bit of a scream, I think. I have no idea. On top of it all, because we don't have a social convener, if you want something to drink, you got to bring your own with this. Which reminds me, I have to grab a plate and some utensils and stuff, because this is not because of our plans or because we don't have a social convener. It's just that the group decided they were going to go green, which meant, no disposable stuff. Yeah. Bring your own plate and stuff like that. So what do people do? They bring a paper plate. Kind of kills that idea, doesn't it? Anyways, we'll see. This could be a real joke and a half. Now you might be wondering what I'm taking. Well, I made those, and I'm sure you've seen them. You take a tortilla shell and you take cream cheese and mayonnaise and some spices and mix that all up, and you sort of spread it on inside of a tortilla shell, and I lay some ham slices down on top of that. Then you roll them all up, you chill it, and then you cut it into a little round, and they're little round sandwiches kind of a thing. So I'm making those. They don't need to be heated up. They keep forever, and they're kind of tasty. And I got colored tortilla shells, like vegetable or something. I mean, some are green and some are sort of an orangey red. Just thought it makes it a little more festive when I cut them up and put them on the plate, kind of a deal. So that's what I'm taking. So we'll see what we see tonight. It'll be good for a laugh anyways, I'm sure. And that's about all that's coming up. Nothing else really this week that I can think of. So I guess I'll sign off. Stephen and Walter Live will be on this coming Sunday at 4 p.m., our usual time, Eastern Standard Time. Not sure what the theme is this week, what we're going to talk about. I'm thinking of talking about how people get your money at this time of the year. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, have a good week, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.